Hi, welcome to Janna's Kitchen. Today, at the request of my daughter Erin, we're going to be demonstrating how to make it a delicious spicy Asian orange beef. And you don't have to make it spicy, but we're going to show you spicy today, and I'll tell you what you can leave out. We're going to start, this is a 2-pound flank steak. And even the lady at the grocery store today who did the demonstrations of the food at the store said, oh, you're buying flank steak? I can never make it very tender. And I told her, I said, for the orange beef, it's the perfect cut because you want it kind of got a bite to it. You don't want it just falling apart like a pot roast. And so I'm going to show you how I do it. It doesn't mean it's the only way to do it, but I'm going to show you and demonstrate how I prepare the spicy, Asian spicy orange beef. So you can see the natural muscles are going this way, the lengthways. And so I cut this in half lengthways. I'm going to set this one to the side for just a second. And I'm going to work with just one of these. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife at an angle and I'm going to cut it real thin, like this, cross grain, because the muscles are going this way. And so I'm going to cut this way. And I'm doing it about 1/8 of an inch thick to 1/4 of an inch. And if you do them really thin, it's not going to take as long to cook and they'll be really crispy. But I'm going to do it at about, like I said, 1/8 to 1/4 of an inch is perfect for our family. You do the way your family likes. So now, I cut green onions on this mat before, and I can see you got a little green onion under there. Don't think it's anything with the meat, because it's not. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish doing this. Then one of the secrets, if you've got a tough cut of meat and you want to do a stir fry with it, or you can do it works with chicken, works with pork, and it's kind of one of the Asian secrets to many restaurants because they can buy lesser cuts of beef, is baking soda. But I will say this, you have to be very, very light with the baking soda. It is kind of a chemical reaction that it does that tenderizes the meat. But if you put too much on, it's going to change the texture of your meat and it will not be at all the texture of flank steak or beef in general. It'll just get a really odd texture, and it'll do that with chicken too. So if you're going to use it, if you don't think your meat is a tender cut and you want to tenderize it, lightly, very lightly, like I would say 1/4 teaspoon to an entire pound, and then set it in the refrigerator for about 15 minutes to a half hour max, because it'll have that chemical reaction. It'll just turn your meat mushy, and we don't want mushy meat. I don't anyway, some people might. And so I'm just about done with this. And then we're going to mix up a marinade, and we're going to put that on the top of it. See that those grains, and it makes it easier to chew. If you would cut it the opposite way of this muscle, it would be, flank steak is not going to be a good meat to chew. It's made to cook very quickly, and you don't want to overcook flank steak. There we go. And now this last piece is really thin, so I'm just going to cut it. There, do a little butterfly of it, just like that. And now I'm going to show you how we make the marinade. I'll come back and do this other piece of it. Okay, we're ready to make the marinade for our flank steak, so we can get that spicy Asian orange beef going. All right, so here is the ingredients for the marinade. And you can do this before you go to work in the morning and put it on there, as long as you haven't put the baking soda on your meat. You can get this marinade all ready and put it on your meat and put it in the refrigerator. So those are the ingredients. I'm going to let you see that for just a second. All right, now we're going to mix it up. So what we're going to put in this bowl I have made more than 1 pound. It says 1 pound of flank steak, but I'm going to go ahead and quadruple this because we eat leftovers at our house for many days. We love leftovers. And so I'm quadrupling it. So I'm going to just say what you should be putting in. Don't look at what I'm doing. So I'm putting in 1 egg, and I'm going to beat that up. And you just want to get the white and the yellow so that a little bit more, so that they're real loose. There, that's better. And so to that, I'm going to add a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. I'm going to add a 1/2 teaspoon of salt. I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of sugar, white sugar. I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of peanut oil. And I'm going to add, I didn't put this in there, but this is because it's my taste. I like to add 1 tablespoon of toasted sesame oil, because I like that taste on the beef, even though it's going to be on the noodles. And so I'm going to just mix this together. It just takes a minute. You can use a fork if you don't have a whisk. And I'm going to get that nice and mixed together so there's no lumps of the cornstarch. And now I'm going to put this over the top of our beef for the marinade. And that peanut oil is a really good oil, but if you don't have peanut oil, you can use vegetable oil. And so now I use gloves because it makes my hands easier to wash up. I use gloves. I've used gloves for years and years. And so now I'm just going to mix that up, get it all coated. And you can start using this right away, or you can let it sit in the refrigerator or at maximum room temperature for up to 30 minutes, as long as your room temperature's not too hot. There. That's all there is to this. And now we're going to be ready to start our orange sauce while this is marinating for just a few minutes. And so we'll be back and we're going to do the orange sauce. Okay, we're ready to start making the spicy orange sauce. And so I've got the ingredients here for you. So I'm going to leave this up here for just a couple minutes. For 4 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, 1 teaspoon of red chili flakes, 18-ounce jar of orange marmalade, 3 cloves of garlic minced, 1/3 cup of sweet chili sauce, 2 tablespoons of soy sauce, 1 tablespoon plus 1 teaspoon of cornstarch, 1 tablespoon of black vinegar, 2 tablespoons of white vinegar, 1 tablespoon of sushi vinegar, 1 chicken bouillon cube. Mix them together and simmer until thick, and then just set that aside. Okay, we're getting ready to start here. So what I've got, remember I'm doubling my recipe today, so just pretend this one isn't in here. We're going to add 1 jar of sweet orange marmalade. You can get this at any grocery store, get any brand that you want. This is an 18-ounce jar. And it is good. It's got the nice pith inside of it. Oh, it's so good. And it's perfect base. And with the combination of that sweet and the combination of the vinegar, oh, it's just lovely. And so now we're going to add 3 cloves, and I minced them finely, of minced fresh garlic. You can use the jar if you want to, but I have to tell you, I have experimented. And there really isn't anything like fresh garlic. It just has its own taste. The stuff in the jar, you can use it, but to me, there's a difference in taste. What you do not want to use, if your garlic looks like this on your cupboard, it'll taste bitter. You don't want to use this. You just really do have to throw it away. Once it sprouts like this, you can either put it in a planter and grow another plant of ginger and harvest those in a few months, but this is what you just have to throw away. don't use this. And so use nice fresh garlic. And so to that, we're going to add 1/3 cup of Thai sweet chili sauce. That's available at any of the local grocery stores in the Asian section. And now we're going to add, I've got the sesame oil. And I use the roasted sesame oil because to me it just has a really yummy flavor. And here you can eliminate this if you don't like spicy, or you can lower the amount if you don't like spicy. But this is the chili oil, and that's also in the Asian section. Here's the 1 teaspoon of red chili flakes. Now this is black vinegar, and that is in an Asian section at the store. If you don't have black vinegar, just use the extra white vinegar. It has a milder taste. And then we have our white vinegar, 2 tablespoons. And here's our soy sauce. And here is our sushi vinegar. Sushi vinegar is a sweet vinegar. It's like what they put on the rice when they're making sushi to make it stick together even more. And here is our chicken bouillon cube. I buy the Knorr brand, and they're really extra yummy to me and not overly salty. And then here is my slurry. I added a little bit of warm water to the cornstarch. And I did this a couple minutes ago, so it's set up, so I gotta stir it again here because I don't want it to be a big lump when I pour it into my sauce. Whoopsie daisy. Splatter, splatter, that happens. And you know, the best tool that we have is what God gave us, is our fingers. And I scooped that up out of the bottom here. Ooh, now it's nice and slurry back together. And you just have to add enough warm water to the cornstarch to make it a slurry. And so now I'm going to set this aside. And I'm going to turn on my burner to medium high. And that's going to come first to a simmer, and then it's going to come to a boil. When it comes to a boil is when you're going to want to make sure that you turn it down to low. We'll be right back and we'll see how this is. Okay, we've got our nice spicy orange sauce all thickening up. It didn't take but a couple of minutes to get it to this point. We have garlic in there, fresh garlic, and so we want to make sure it gets cooked. So I'm going to simmer this for about 5 minutes. I can turn it down a little bit now that it's at a rolling boil, and you want to get it to that rolling boil because you've got that fresh garlic in there. And plus you want those oils and the red chili flakes and everything to all meld together. And like I said, this is a double batch. I gave you the recipe for a single batch. And so, because we love leftovers at our house, we'll eat them, and Aaron and my husband take them for work lunches, and we have it for supper too. And so that's what that is. And so I'm going to turn it down to a low simmer now. And now I've got the marinated beef all ready to go, and I've got oil up to 375 degrees in my wok. I use peanut oil. I've got the container sitting here on the other side of the cooktop. And I'm just going to use a fork and put these in individually so they don't clump together. And you can see it taking off nice and sizzly. I don't have my fan going above my stove right now, but I would normally have my fan going because I don't want my house to fill up with greasy smell. I did a test of one earlier, and you can see it's nice and crispy. It's going to look like that when it comes out of the fryer. You don't have to use a wok for this. You can use your Fry Daddy or Fry Baby or just another tall skillet with some grease in it. If you don't want to use all that grease, you can use lesser amounts. It may just take you more batches to get it done. And you don't have to deep fry it. You can lightly fry it in just a smaller amount of oil too. because it is, I am going to throw most of this oil out or strain it and use it for another purpose, but I'd have to use it in the next couple of days. And some of these in here are already starting to get nice and crispy. And if you want them even crispier than that, after you take them out of the marinade, you can dunk them in some more, dredge them, dunk them in some more cornstarch, and they will even have a crispier texture. And I'll do some of that and just show you before we pour the sauce over it. Yes. This is so good. This has truly been a family favorite for decades at our house. I started cooking when I was 10 years old in my mother's kitchen. She was very good about letting me experiment. All my food wasn't very good. I will tell you, I still mess up sometimes. And that's okay, just don't quit. Just don't say, well, I can't cook, because you mess up a couple times. It's all right. You might mess up a whole lot more than a couple times. But just never quit. If you want to be a good cook, you can be. The important thing is finding a recipe that you like. And this might not be it. So I'm going to go through and kind of pick out the ones that are getting crispy. I had to turn my heat down. Shame on me. I forgot to turn it back up. That was part of the problem there. And after I get done, since I have a large batch that I'm cooking today, sometimes I double fry the beef. And so I take it out and it's already clear, but right before I pour the sauce over it, I might stick it back in the oil one more time, and it doesn't take very long. It just takes a matter of seconds in and back out again. And that'll crisp it back up, and then it tends to stay crispier. Especially since we're not eating it all in this one sitting. We're going to be eating it in several sittings and over a period of days. All right. Well, I'm going to fry up some more of this, and I'm going to let my sauce simmer, and we'll be back as I'm finishing up this beef. Okay, we're back. All of the beef is cooked. You can see it in my pan on the side there. I've got my grease still hot, my peanut oil, I should say. And here is some of the browned beef. And so I've got some cornstarch here. I'm going to just demonstrate to you. If you want to double fry the beef, you can do that. Just add some cornstarch to it. Stir that up a little bit. And then it's gonna, you don't have to add more cornstarch, but I do. And you'll see how it's going to extra crisp up, because right now it's kind of wiggly. Some of them are, not all of them. This one's not so bad. But I just did this for the purpose that you can see how quickly it fries the second time. And it will make it extra crispy. Our family does love extra crispy, I will say that. It's not quite beef jerky, but close on the double fry. You can see maybe off to my side once in a while, I have golden retrievers, and one of them in particular is 3-year-old Bailey, and we call him Ratatouille, because whenever I'm cooking, he's just so interested. We do not give them people food, so it isn't about him begging or anything else. He's just very interested in the process, everything from washing dishes to loading the dishwasher. But he's my little Ratatouille dog, and he's so adorable. So you'll see him maybe once in a while walk by or kind of have his nose come up near the stove just to see what I'm doing. See how long that took? Nice and hot and sizzly, and it's going to be super crispy. And the sauce off to the front there, you can see, is all done, nice and bubbly. We're just getting this drained. You can drain it on paper towels if you're allergic to extra oil. Some people are very, very healthy about their eating habits, and there really is not very much oil in the bottom of that pan. I have to promise you that. Okay, so real quick here, I'm going to add, I've got some green onions, and I'm going to add those real quickly to my oil as long as it's hot. And I have what's called a spider. I'm going to reserve a few of them that won't be cooked, and I'll add those at the very end. But just like that. That's all I take. Just softens them just a little bit. And I put that over my beef. Ooh, so good. You can add sesame seeds too. Toast some sesame seeds and put those in here. It'd be more like a General's chicken or sesame chicken, sesame orange chicken. Make it your way. Put in the things that you like. And you can do this very same recipe with chicken, lamb, probably even shrimp. Absolutely shrimp. Some people love to have orange shrimp, orange beef. You know what? I'm going to do the rest of those because I love those when they're just slightly fried. Make it your way. Ooh, yum. I'm going to shut my oil off here. Now I'm going to reach behind me for just a second and I'm going to show you what we serve this over. You can do steamed rice, you can do fried rice. But I have some ramen noodles. I cooked them for 1 minute in boiling water and pulled them out. So they are cooked. So it was rolling boil, 1 minute, pulled them out, immediately drained them and cooled them off. And then I put them on a cookie sheet that has some peanut oil on it. And then I tossed sesame oil lightly over the noodles. And now I'm going to stick them into the broiler on low just until they get crunchy on top. And that's what we're going to serve this orange beef. So when I come back, that'll be done. We'll serve this up and you get to enjoy it with us. We'll be right back. Okay, guess what? Everything is done finally. And so we've got our nice spicy Asian orange sauce ready to go. Nice simmer on it. That garlic's all cooked. See, it just stays in the sauce now. It's not just floating to the top when it does when it's really raw. We don't want it raw. And so there's that sauce. And our crispy noodle cakes are done. And so we'll put a crispy noodle cake on our serving plate. Look at, and I'm going to put some of this orange beef on our plate. That's a lot, but it's going to be so delicious. Let me get out my, that is super hot, but oh so delicious. Get it all over there. And you can mix it all over your beef too. And then serve it on top of the noodles. But that is our spicy Asian orange beef ready to go on a crispy noodle ramen cake. We're gonna go eat. Got my chopsticks raring to go, and we're gonna have a delicious meal. You can serve this with broccoli. So thank you. This is my first video of a series, and we'll be back real soon.